Welcome back to the continuation of Incident Management Part 2. My name is Ranjit George and let's proceed. In Part 1, we left off after learning about incidents and the incident life cycle, in which we have learnt about incident identification, incident logging, incident categorization classification, incident prioritization, and incident response. So, how exactly do we handle incidents? This can be done by preparing, detection and analysis, containment, eradication and recovery, activities post incident. Under preparation, we cover 2 points: how to handle incidents and how to prevent incidents. First, you need to maintain a complete list of contact information for team members and others within and outside your organization. This information may include phone numbers, email address, and instructions for verifying the contact's identity. Communication to stakeholders. This is necessary as on-call information for other teams within the organization, including escalation information, should be available. Reporting mechanism. This should include phone numbers or email address, online forms, and secure instant messaging systems that users can use to report suspected incident. At least one mechanism should permit people to report incidents anonymously. Ticket and tracking of issues. So you need to also have a ticketing system, so issue tracking system for tracking incident information and to know the status. Communication device. Phones or smartphones should be carried by team members for off-hour support and on-site communication. War room. War room for central communication and coordination. If a permanent war room is not necessary or practical, the team should create a procedure for procuring a temporary war room when needed. Evidence room. Secure storage facility for storing evidence and other sensitive material. Coming to the areas on how to prevent incidents. Keeping the number of incidents reasonably low is very important to protect the business process of the organization. If the security controls are insufficient, higher volumes of incidents may occur, which would overwhelm the incident response team. So, what do we do? The first point is risk assessment. Periodic risk assessment of systems and applications should determine what risks are posed by the combination of threats and vulnerabilities. This should include understanding the applicable threats, including the organization specific threats. Host security. All hosts should be hardened appropriately using standard configuration. In addition to keeping each host properly patched, hosts should be configured to follow the principle of least privileges. Network security. The network perimeter should be configured to deny all activity that is not expressly permitted. This includes securing all connection points such as VPNs and dedicated connections to other organizations. Malware prevention. Software to detect and stop malware should be deployed throughout the organization. Malware protection should be deployed at the host level, the application server level, and the application client level. User awareness and training. Users should be made aware of policies and procedures regarding the appropriate use of networks, systems, and applications. Applicable lessons learned from the previous incidents should also be shared with the users so that they can see how their actions could affect the organization. Detection and analysis. Organizations should generally be prepared to handle any incidents, but should focus on being prepared to handle incidents that use common attack vectors. Different type of incidents merit different response strategies. Now the attack vectors I had listed down earlier in part 1, I will be reporting through the same. So this can be used as a basis for defining more specific handling procedures. External and removable media. An attack executed from a removable media or peripheral device, for example, malicious code spreading onto a system from an infected USB flash drive. Attrition. An attack that employs brute force methods to compromise, degrade, or destroy systems, networks, or services. Web. An attack executed from a website or web application. Email. An attack executed via email message or attachment. Impersonation. An attack involving replacement of something beginning with something malicious, for example, spoofing or man in the middle. Improper usage. Any incident resulting from violation of an organization's acceptable use policy by an authorized user, excluding the above categories. For example, a user installs file sharing software leading to the loss of sensitive data, or a user performing illegal activities on a system. Loss or theft of equipment. The loss or theft of computing device or media used by the organization, such as laptops, smartphones, or authentication tokens. Indications of an incident. Listed down some simple identifiable types. Unauthorized access to or use of systems, software, or data. The term unauthorized access describes the act of directly or indirectly accessing information online without authorization. Unauthorized access is often done with the intention of getting data for personal gains or cause of other person. IAM is the best solution here. Unauthorized changes to system software or data. Once you get unauthorized access, fraudsters make changes. Discovery tools are used to perform configuration audits, which identify the state of the environment at any point of time. Critical file changes. Change is the nemesis of IT professionals who seek to maintain a stable environment that is secure. Unauthorized changes to critical files can mean that a breach has occurred or that internal changes to the system are occurring. Internet or device slowness. These are usual signs of malware, including unusual system activity, such as a sudden loss of disk space, unusual slow speeds, repeated crashes or freezes, an increase in unwanted internet activity, and pop up advertisements. Obvious device tampering. This is an active attempt to compromise the device integrity or data associated with this device. Locked user account. Now, accounts usually gets locked due to the user entering incorrect credentials, but you will also find a lot of brute force password attacks, which creates such scenarios. Unusual outbound traffic. Network administrators should be aware of the usual traffic that flows through the network. If a host starts sending an abnormal amount of data, that could mean malware has infected the host and is performing unwanted actions. Abnormal admin activity. This is impersonated activity that was performed in the name of another user. Denial of service attacks or DOS attacks occur when legitimate users are unable to access the information system devices or other network resource due to the action of malicious cyber threat actor. Precursors and indicators. Precursors and indicators are identified using many different sources, with the most common being computer security software alerts, logs, publicly available information, and people. Intrusion detection and prevention systems, that is IDPS, produces identified suspicious events and records pertinent data regarding them, including the date and time the attack was detected, the type of attack, the source and the destination IP address, and the username. Security Information and Event Management (SIEM) products are similar to the IDPS product, but they generate alerts based on analysis of log data. Antivirus software. This detects various forms of malware, generates alerts, and prevents the malware from infecting hosts. Current antivirus products are effective at stopping many instances of malware if their signatures are kept up to date. File integrity checking software. This can detect changes to the most important files during incident. It uses a hashing algorithm to obtain a cryptographic checksum for each designated file. Third parties. This often offer a variety of subscription-based and free monitoring service. An example is a fraud detection service that will notify an organization of its IP address, domain names, etc. These are associated with concurrent incidents activity and involving other organizations. Logs from operating systems, services, and applications, particularly audit-related data, are frequently of great value when an incident occurs, such as recording which accounts were accessed and what actions were performed. Organizations should require a baseline level of logging on all systems and the higher baseline level on critical systems. Logs from network devices such as firewalls and routers are typically a primary source of precursors and indicators. Although these devices are usually configured to log blocked connection attempts, they provide little information about the nature of activity. Still, they can be valuable in identifying network trends and in correlating events detected by other devices. Keeping up with the new vulnerabilities and exploits can prevent some incidents from occurring and assist in detecting and analyzing the network. The National Vulnerability Database (NVD) contains information on vulnerabilities. Organizations such as US CERT, CERT.India, and that periodically provide threat update of information through briefings, web postings, and mailing lists. External users may also report other indicators such as defaced web page or an unavailable service. Other incident response team may also report incidents. It is important to have a mechanism in place for external parties to report indicators and for trained staff to monitor those mechanisms carefully. This may be as simple as setting up a phone number and email address configured to forward messages to the help desk. Analysis of incidents. Incident detection and analysis would be easy if every precursor or indicator were guaranteed to be accurate. Unfortunately, this is not the case. Example, intrusion detection systems may produce false positive, incorrect indicators. Even if an indicator is accurate, it does not necessarily mean that the incident has occurred. Determining whether a particular event is actually an incident or sometimes a matter of judgment. It may be necessary to collaborate with other technical and information security personnel to make the decision. Recommendations for making incident analysis is easier and more effective via profiling networks and systems. Profiling is measuring the characteristics of expected activity so that changes to it can be made more easily identified. Understand normal behavior. Incident response team members should study network systems and applications to understand what their normal behavior is so that abnormal behavior can be recognized more easily. One way to gain this knowledge is through reviewing log entries and security alerts. Create a log retention policy. Information regarding an incident may be recorded in several places such as firewalls, IDPs, and application logs. Creating and implementing a log retention policy that specifies how long data should be maintained may be extremely helpful in analysis because older log entries may show reconnaissance activity or previous incidents of similar attack. Perform event correlation. Evidence of an incident may be captured in several logs that each contain different types of data. A firewall log may have a source IP address that was used, whereas an application log may contain a username. A network IDPS may detect that an attack was launched against a particular host, but it may not be known if the attack was successful. The analyst may need to examine the host logs to determine that information. So, correlating events among multiple indicator sources can be invaluable in validating whether a particular incident occurred. Keeping all host clocks synchronized. Protocols such as Network Time Protocol (NTP) synchronize clocks among hosts. Event correlation will be more complicated if the device reporting events have inconsistent clock settings. From an evidentiary standpoint, it is preferable to have a consistent timestamp in the logs. Maintain and use a knowledge base of information. The knowledge base should include information that handlers need for referencing quickly during an incident analysis. Although it is possible to build a knowledge base with a complex structure, a simple approach can be effective. Text documents, spreadsheets, and relatively simple database provides effective, flexible, and searchable mechanism for sharing data among team members. Use search engines. Internet search engines can help analysts find information on unusual activity. Run packet sniffers to collect additional information. Sometimes the indicators do not record enough detail to permit the handlers to understand what is occurring. If an incident is occurring over a network, the fastest way to collect the necessary data may be to have a packet sniffer capture network traffic. Filter the data. There is simply not enough time to review and analyze all indicators. At a minimum, the most suspicious activity should be investigated. One effective strategy is to filter out categories of indicators that tend to be insignificant. Seek assistance from others. Occasionally, the team will be unable to determine the full cause and nature of incident. If the team lacks sufficient information to contain and eradicate the incident, then it should be consulted with internal resources. Documentation. An incident response team that suspects that an incident has occurred should immediately start recording all the facts regarding the incident. A logbook is an effective and simple medium for this. Laptops, audio recorders, and digital cameras also serve this purpose. The incident response team should maintain records about the status of incidents along with other pertinent information like the current status of incident, a summary of the incident, indicators related to the incident, other incidents related to this incident, actions taken by all incident handlers on this incident, chain of custody if applicable, incident assessments related to the incident, contact information of others involved. This would include system owners and system administrators. A list of evidence gathered during the recent investigation. Comments from the incident handlers and next steps to be taken, that is, rebuild the holes and upgrade an application. Prioritize the incidents. Functional impact of incident. Incident targeting IT systems typically impact the business functionality that those systems provide, resulting in some type of negative impact to the users of those systems. Incident handlers should consider how the incident will impact the existing functionality of the affected system. Indicators such as high, medium, low, none. These can be used. So none is like no effect to the organization's ability to provide all services to the users. Low. This will have a minimum effect on the organization, can still provide all critical services to all users but has lost efficiency. Medium. Organization has lost the ability to provide the critical service to a subset of system users. High. Organizations is no longer able to provide some critical services to any of the users. Information impact of the incident. Incidents may affect the CIA of the organization's information, that is, the confidentiality, integrity, and availability. For example, a malicious agent may exfiltrate sensitive information. Incident handlers should consider how this information exfiltration will impact the organization's overall mission. So there are different indicators out here, like none, privacy breach, proprietary breach. So in none, and we have one more, that is the integrity breach. So none. No information was exfiltrated, changes, deleted, or otherwise compromised. Privacy breach, sensitive, personally identifiable information of taxpayers, employees, beneficiaries, etc. was accessed or exfiltrated. Proprietary breach, unclassified proprietary information includes protected critical infrastructure information was accessed and exfiltrated. Integrity loss, sensitive or proprietary information was changed or deleted. Recoverability from the incident. The size of the incident and the type of resource it affects will determine the amount of time and resource that must be spent on recovering from that incident. In some instances, it is not possible to recover from an incident. Example, if the confidentiality of a sensitive information has been compromised, and it would not make any sense to spend limited resource on an elongated incident handling cycle unless that effort was directed at ensuring that a similar incident did not occur in the future. So the indicators would be regular, supplemented, extended, and not recoverable. So in the regular one, the time to recovery is predicted with the existing resource. Supplemented time to recovery is predictable with the additional resource. Extended time to recovery is unpredictable. Additional resource and outside help are needed. And during not recoverable, recovery from the incident is not possible. Incident notification. When an incident is analyzed and prioritized, the incident response team needs to notify the appropriate individuals so that all who need to be involved will play their roles. Incident response policy should include provision concerning the incident reporting at the minimum, what must be reported to whom and what times. That is initial notification, regular status updates. The exact reporting requirements vary among organizations. I have listed few. So these are the ones that you can use, or it could be just a CIO, head of information security, local information security officer, other incident response team within the organization, system owners, legal team if required. The team should plan and prepare several communication methods, including handout of out of the band methods, such as in paper or in person, and select the methods that are appropriate for a particular incident. So, possible communication methods, these are via email, website, internal or external portal, telephone calls, in person, that is during daily briefings, voicemail, or you can do it via paper. So, you can post notice on the bulletin board and doors, hand out notices at the entrance point. Contamination, eradication, and recovery. Choosing a containment strategy. Containment is important before an incident overwhelms resources or increases damage. Most incidents require containment, so that important consideration early in the course of handling each incident. Criteria for determining the appropriate strategy include potential damage to and theft of resource, need for evidence preservation, service availability, that is network connectivity, services provided to external parties, time and resource needed to implement the strategy, effectiveness of the strategy, duration of the solution, that is if an emergency workaround to be removed in 4 hours, temporary workaround to be removed in 2 weeks, or a permanent solution. Containment strategies vary based on the type of incident. Evidence gathering and handling. Although the primary reason for gathering evidence during an incident is to resolve the incident, it may also be needed for legal proceeding. In such case, it is important to clearly document how the evidence, including the compromised systems, have been preserved. Identifying information, that is the location, serial number, model number, host name, media access control address, and the IP address of the computer. Name, title, and phone number of each individual who collected or handled the evidence during the investigation. Time and date. This includes also the time zone for each occurrence for the evidence handling. Location where the evidence was stored. Collecting evidence from computing resource presents some challenges. It is generally desirable to acquire evidence from a system of interest as soon as one suspects that an incident may have occurred. Many incidents cause a system dynamic chain of events to occur. An initial system snapshot may do more good in identifying the problem and its sources than most other actions that can take part in the stage. Users and system administrators should be made aware of the steps that they should take to preserve evidence. So you can also see in the NIST 886. So this publication is a guide to integrating forensic techniques into incident response for additional information on preserving evidence. Identifying the attacking host. During incident handling, system owners and others sometimes want to or need to identify the attacking host or host. Although this information can be important, incident handlers should generally stay focused on containment, eradication, and recovery. Validating the attacking host IP address. New incident handlers often focus on the attacking host IP address. The handlers may attempt to validate the address was not spoofed by verifying the connectivity to it. However, this simply indicates that a host at the address does not respond to this request. A failure to respond does not mean that the address is not real. For example, a host may be configured to ignore ping and trace routes. Also, the attacker may have received a dynamic address that has already been reassigned to someone else. Researching the attacking host through search engines. Performing an internet search using the apparent source IP address of an attack may lead to more information on the attack. For example, mailing list message regarding similar attacks. Using incident database. Several groups collect and consolidate incident data from various organizations into the incident database. This information sharing may take place in many forms, such as attackers and real time blacklist. The organization can also check on its own database or issue tracking system for related activity. Monitoring possible attack communication channels. Incident handlers can monitor communication channels that may be used by an attacking host. For example, many bots use IRC as a primary means of communication. Also, attackers may congregate on certain IRC channels to brag about their compromise and share information. Eradication and recovery. After an incident has been contained, eradication may be necessary to eliminate components of the incident, such as deleting malware and disabling breached user accounts, as well as identifying and mitigating all vulnerabilities that were exploited. During eradication, it is important to identify the affected host within the organization so that they can be remediated. For some incidents, eradication is either not necessary or performed during a recovery. In recovery, administrators restore systems to normal operations, confirm that the systems are functioning normally, and if applicable, remediate vulnerabilities to prevent similar incidents. Recovery may involve such actions as restoring systems from a clean backup, rebuilding systems from scratch, replacing compromised files with clean versions, installing patches, changing passwords, and tightening the network perimeter security, that is, the firewall rule set, boundary router access control list. Higher levels of system login or network monitoring are often a part of the recovery process. Post-incident activities. One of the most important part of incident response is also known is the one that is most omitted, that is the learning and improving. Each incident response team should evolve to reflect new threats, improve technology, and lessons learned. Holding a lessons learned meeting with all the involved parties after a major incident and optionally periodically after lesser incidents as resources permit. This can be extremely helpful for improving security measures and the incident handling process itself. The meeting should be held within several days of the end of the incident. So the questions to be answered in the meeting include exactly what had happened and at what time, how well did the staff and the management perform in dealing with the incident, were the documented procedures followed and were they adequate, what information was needed sooner, were any steps or actions taken that might have inhibited the recovery, what would the staff and the management do differently the next time a similar incident occurs, how could information sharing with other organizations be improved, what corrective actions can prevent similar incidents in future, what precursors or indicators should be watched for in the future to detect similar incidents? What additional tools or resources are needed to detect, analyze, and mitigate future incidents? Small incidents need limited post-incident analysis, with the exception of incidents performed through new attack methods that are widespread concerns and interest. After serious attacks have occurred, it is usually worthwhile to hold post-mortem meetings that cross teams and organization boundaries to provide a mechanism for information sharing. The primary consideration in holding such meeting is ensuring that the right people are involved. Not only is it important to invite people who have been involved in the incident that is being analyzed, but also it is wise to consider who should be invited for the purpose of facilitating the future cooperation. The success of such meeting also depends on the agenda. Summary. So, in this summary, we will first see the objective. The purpose of the incident management process is to restore normal service operations as quickly as possible and minimize the adverse impact on business operation, ensuring that the agreed levels of service qualities are maintained. The objectives of incident management process are to ensure that the standardized methods and the procedures are used for efficient and prompt response, analysis, documentation, and ongoing management and reporting of incidents. Incident management process. So we learned four stages: preparation, detection and analysis, containment, eradication, and recovery, and the fourth one was post-incident activity. There are different frameworks that you can use for incident management: ISO IEC 27135, Information Security Incident Management, the SANS, the RFC 2350, the CERT, the NIST 861, the ISACA Incident Management Response, and the ENISA CSIRT Setting Up Guide. Most of the companies follow ITL that follow ITL will have a robust incident management process already in place. So you can also shift your focus on how the process can be improved by reading the more into incident management books of ITI. Documentation. Documenting incidents and investigation is of utmost importance. Companies are in danger of losing lawsuits, even simple ones, if they don't have the documentation to back up their actions. Documenting incidents is essential to mitigate the risk. Incidents and observation keep us aware. Reporting them provides a way to monitor potential problems and root cause as they reoccur. The documentation of these problems and root causes increases the likelihood that repeating failures will be noticed and corrected before they develop into more serious incidents. So this brings us to the end of
through which we got a complete session on the incident management. So appreciate your time to view my cyber nugget. Hope this has been informative. I will be sharing more relevant topics for learning under Cyber Skills Magnified. Kindly add your comments and also help my network grow by sharing this across to folks who are interested to learn. Do not forget to subscribe if not already done so. Use the bell icon for alerts for new topics. Thank you and see you next week.